Hello everyone, hope you're having the greatest of days today. Welcome to the Film Insight channel. For today's video, we're going to cover more bars featured on Bar Rescue and reveal how they're doing now. So, sit back, relax, and without further ado, let's get right into the content, guys. Copper Rocket Pub. In a Season 6 episode, Jon Taffer attempts to rescue a failing bar called Copper Rocket Pub, located in Maitland, Florida. Owned by Salman Markovic, he decided to buy the popular pub on a whim in 2015, despite being hopelessly inexperienced. Considering the fact that the pub had a 20-year-old history and had a large community of returning customers, he thought he could capitalize on that. Additionally, Markovic believed that he could improve on something that was already working and brought in local art performers. Rather than bringing new customers, all this did was drive the regulars away, which is why the business is in a deep pool of debt. Having no one else to turn to, Markovic called out to Taffer and his team for some much-needed help. When he arrives with his experts, Taffer expresses that he loves the bar's name, but thinks that the exterior and interior concepts don't match. Wanting to get a better idea of the customer experience, the famous rescuer sends in a local DJ to test the waters. Ordering a bottle of light beer, it tastes disgustingly sour and is warm, so the spy decides to order some food. Asking for a Philly cheesesteak and some pretzels, the DJ waits for a while and is eventually told by the owner that the food he ordered wasn't on the menu and that his server was clueless. Getting some onion rings and chicken tenders instead, he's so disgusted by the taste that he swiftly spits it out. Meanwhile, a number of things are happening in the bar at the same time. There's fire breathing in the parking lots, a naked performer randomly enters the bar, a customer is being painted, and a whole bunch of other wacky stuff is going on. To make matters even worse, Markovic is being very rude to the staff and blaming all the issues present on them, so having seen more than enough, Taffer heads straight into the bar. Confronting the terrible owner, Taffer tells him that he needs to own up to the fact that he's at the root of all the bar's problems. Markovic reluctantly accepts that he's the one causing the issues at the bar, but expresses that he's trying his best to bring in new customers. Clearly, he doesn't see that his ideas aren't working. Anyway, the following day, Taffer introduces his experts to the staff, who teach them how to make burgers in under a minute and how to make basic cocktails. Putting their skills they learned to the test, the Bar Rescue host invites a ton of customers to see how they handle an influx of patrons. Overall, the stress test was a complete failure since no one was expediting, food was sent out cold, and Markovic was nowhere to be found for a portion of the service. Giving feedback to the staff following this disaster, the owner goes into complete denial mode and has a mental breakdown, but eventually calms down and accepts the criticisms. Following some more training with the staff, getting Markovic to accept the idea of change, and giving the bar a makeover so it looked more elegant, the business was given a second chance. Upon their eventual relaunch, the staff finally seemed to know what they were doing, and the customers seemed pleased. Post-Bar Rescue, the sales were reported to have gone up by 5%, which sounds pretty low, but it's at least an improvement. While the place is still open to this day, it's currently run by new owners since the previous ones decided to sell the business as soon as the episode aired. Cappin' Lounge. Jon Taffer decides to visit Cappin' Lounge, located in Atlantic Beach, Florida, to prevent it from closing down. Owned by Kim Goings, she inherited this 36-year-old bar from her father when he unfortunately passed away. Before Kim's father died, the bar's general manager Liz used to take care of things, but nowadays she just lets a lot of things slide. Not only are there parties and drinking behind the bar, but the business is losing tons of money since they have a book full of tabs and aren't collecting their debts. On top of this, Kim is barely ever present, which is why the bar is in a deep pool of debt and in a state of disrepair. Needing the guidance of a professional and quick, the owner decided to reach out to Taffer for some aid. Upon his eventual arrival with expert mixologist Phil Wills, he points out that the business is in close proximity to 2 naval bases with a lot of families. Hoping to get a better understanding of the customer experience, Taffer sends in 2 naval officers for recon. Initially, they're ignored by the bartenders who are smoking and drinking behind the bar without paying for anything. Following what is 10 minutes of painful waiting, they finally order a whiskey sour, which is more sour than it needed to be. One customer sends back their drink since they spotted some black specks floating around the surface. Clueless as to why such a thing might be happening, rather than investigate, they simply pour them a new one. Appalled by the staff's level of stupidity, Taffer and his expert rush into the bar and confront the owner about the situation. The Bar Rescue host points out to Kim that the drinks were contaminated and later announces the same thing to the entire bar. Snooping around, Taffer realizes that the source of contamination was the ice machine since the interior had black mold, which is the most toxic of its kind. Disgusted by this revelation, the customers leave and the bar is temporarily closed so it can be deep cleaned. Returning the following day, Taffer holds a meeting with the staff and is quick to pry them on the tab situation. He finds out that they have over 200 that's unaccounted for. Taffer points out that it's not a secure system and that they can't legally collect money, so it has to be counted as a loss. Asking the owner to take charge, Kim tells the staff that they need to do better, at least for the sake of her father's legacy. Following some training on how to make cocktails using rum with the help of Wills of course, Taffer was ready to run a stress test. To summarize, a lot of the drinks were dumped for having poor quality, and the bar was quickly overwhelmed by the number of customers, so the bar rescue host had to shut things down. Needing some help to motivate the staff even further before the relaunch, Wills brings in a charismatic man dressed up as Captain Morgan to hype them up while he teaches them how to make drinks with Captain Morgan rum. After renovating the bar so it was more vibrant on both the inside and outside, decking the place with tons of useful equipment and updating the menu, the bar's future was finally looking bright. Ready to relaunch, the customers poured into the bar and were ecstatic with the new and fun atmosphere. Weeks after the taping of this episode, sales went up by 85% and Liz seemed to be stepping up as a manager. Having a poor 2-star review on Yelp, most seem to say that the drinks are pretty good, but the service quality is abysmal. Regardless, the place is still up and running to this day, so if you're interested in paying it a visit, you most certainly can. King's Duck Inn. As our final entry, we're going to discuss a bar that Jon Taffer attempted to rescue called King's Duck Inn. Owned by a woman named Serena since the late 90s, she took over the inn with the help of her father. Being a family-run business since the 60s, the inn became quite popular with NASA staff members and real astronauts since it's very close to the Kennedy Space Center. After running the place for a while, Serena decided she wanted to study nursing, which is when her sister Jean stepped in. Back in 2011, the Space Center had a ton of layoffs, which inevitably affected business in the area. Eventually, Jean abandoned the business, their father passed away, and the business was in a deep pool of debt, which is why Serena called out to Taffer for some help. Upon his eventual arrival with his experts, Taffer points out that the bar's facade is dated and that the name is confusing. Heading into the bar later on, the bar rescue host sits down with Serena and her daughter/manager Amanda to try and understand why things are so bad. All they're capable of doing is talk over one another and insult each other, leaving the famous rescuer feeling dumbfounded by their lack of respect. Asking them to get all the resentment out of their system so they can focus on saving the bar, Taffer leaves and returns the following day. Gathering the staff together, the bar rescue host quizzes them on the inn's history and their financials, and it's revealed that the business is a month away from closing down. Supposedly, Serena believes that the decline in business is all because of her sister, but she's forced to realize that it's really all on her. For the upcoming stress test, Taffer suggests that the owner takes on the role of owner/manager while Amanda acts as the operations manager. Before that, he invites in expert mixologist Mia Mastroianni and expert chef Tiffany Derry to train the staff on how to make a tequila sunrise and pork sliders. Overall, the staff was way too overwhelmed during the stress test due to the influx of orders, which forced Taffer to shut things down. Following the failed service, the staff was taken to an off-site location for some more training while the bar was being renovated. Mastroianni coaches the staff on how to properly communicate and have spatial awareness, as well as introduces new cocktails, while Derry shows them how to make fish tacos. Once they were brought up to speed, Taffer gathered the team together on a rainy evening to show off the changes he implemented. A while after the taping of this episode, the business's sales reportedly went up by $5,000 a week. Thankfully, Serena and her daughter have been able to maintain a peaceful relationship, which has made work a lot easier. The business is still open to this day, but the owner decided to put it up for sale since she wants to spend more time with her family. Well, that'll be all for today's video here on the channel. I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a massive like down below and comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more content like this and turn on those sweet bell notifications for instant access to our content. Have a great one, guys.